God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege, and this is the Protege program. It is time for the second time on this channel to talk about abortion because apparently somebody decided that they dreamed up the silver bullet to the life begins at conception argument. And the entire argument is given at dailywire.com. If you'd like to go find that article, it's under this headline: Shapiro dismantles pro-abortion author's argument. What happens next is hilarious, on dailywire.com. And I'll just scroll down here. I'll try to leave each paragraph on the screen for a while so that you can read the entire thing. I'm just going to sum it up for you. It's an imaginary scenario. You're in an abortion, fertility, whatever clinic that's burning down. There is a room that has in it a child and a large number of what the author calls viable human embryos. And you're given an impossible choice. You can save one of these individuals, one of these two options, rather, the child or the embryos, or you can all die. And the fellow then goes on to say that no one can answer this question honestly. No one will ever answer this question honestly because nobody really believes that embryos are viable human beings. Well, I have some questions before I attempt to answer this scenario. I think I have some answers thanks to Mr. Shapiro over at the Daily Wire. I have a little bit help in answering this scenario. First of all, what is a viable embryo? Because according to the freedictionary.com and their medical dictionary widget, a viable embryo is able to maintain an independent existence or able to live after birth. So what is a viable embryo? Is it a viable embryo that is within the mother's body? Because if it is, then then you actually have 2,000 lives that you can save on the one hand, and the one life that you can save on the other hand. If they are test tube babies, if the viable embryos are not within the mother's body, then you have, this big number of what quote-unquote anti-abortioners call lives. If a viable embryo is a fertilized egg that's not yet been implanted, then you run up against some technicalities. You could technically have 0 lives in that circumstance, or you save the life of the human child, or you save these fertilized embryos that aren't going to make human babies if they're left alone. They're going to have to be implanted within a mother's body. And given the success rate of in vitro fertilization being 20 to 30%, then theoretically you have 20 to 30 I wrote down 100 for some reason. From this text, it's 1,000, so that's why all these numbers are 100 instead of 1,000. You have 20 or 30 lives that you can save, or you can save this one life. That's just boiling it down to a mathematical equation. In an impossible choice scenario like this one that people like to ask a lot of the times, these kinds of thought experiments, it's impossible to choose between saving the life of a person or the life of more than one person. So in order to make the choice, you boil it down to mathematics. You separate yourself from being a human, and you say 100 is greater than 1, therefore I save 100. Now that's if you define the embryos as lives, and then you say, well, 100 lives or 1,000 lives is greater than 1, therefore I save 1,000. Now, I don't know why a person would have a problem answering that question that way, but I would like to thank Mr. Shapiro for pointing out something to me that I didn't even catch on to at first. Choosing one life over another life does not mean that the life that was not chosen is not a life. The impossible choice is depicted all the time in superhero stories. The first Spider-Man movie that came out, the Spider-Man that I sort of grew up with, had to choose between saving a bus full of children or his girlfriend. Choosing to save the busload of children, through the magic of Hollywood and storytelling, Spider-Man gets to save everyone. But had Spider-Man chosen to save his girlfriend and let the children die, that doesn't make those children not humans. It doesn't mean that they don't have human rights. It doesn't mean that they should not be afforded the same protections under the law as Spider-Man's girlfriend. The same way as if Spider-Man chooses to save the bus full of children, that doesn't mean that his girlfriend is no longer a human. It doesn't mean that his girlfriend does not deserve the same protections under the law as the children do. So choosing to save the child over the embryos does not mean that the embryos are not humans. Choosing to save the embryos over the child does not mean that the child is not an embryo. It just means that the individual making the choice values a specific kind of life greater than others. Now, beyond that, no, I don't even want to go beyond that yet. I want to continue with this example. Let's play it through, as Gavin McInnes says. What if the embryos are your embryos? What if you are totally barren and you have the choice between saving a child or saving the one embryo on this earth that has the possibility of becoming your child? The moral person in a snap decision chooses to save their child, whether their child is born or not. Let's say that one child, the one child in the room is your child, and the embryos that are in the room are the only embryos left on the face of the earth. They're the only embryos that can ever be born again, and the embryos that will be born from or the humans rather, that are born from those embryos will be the only humans that are able to reproduce and continue to populate the earth. In other words, you have the choice between saving your family or the human race. People make moral decisions based on their emotions sometimes. That doesn't make those decisions correct. That doesn't make them wise. That doesn't even mean they're the most moral decisions that you can make. It's the choice between choosing what I'm attached to versus choosing what I know is the correct answer. And many times humans choose what they are attached to over what they know is the correct answer. The reality of an abortion choice is not choosing between one life or another. The reality of an abortion choice is choosing to end a life or to not end a life. That's the choice that we have. And in the rare, astronomically rare situations when the choice in an abortion is to save one life or to save another, where the birth of a child is going to kill the mother. Now, I didn't realize this. Mr. Shapiro pointed out that in at least the vast majority of religions in this earth prize the life of a born human over the life of an unborn human. Now, I can certainly see how to arrive at that conclusion, given my background in Christianity. I personally would not be pleased to have to make the decision between allowing my child to be born or placing my wife at an inordinate risk of death by carrying the child through. A television show that we watched, my wife and I together somewhat recently, depicted this kind of choice, the choice between carrying a child to term, which placed the mother in an inordinate amount of physical danger, or an abortion. I appreciated that portrayal of the event. There was a lot of debate that went on, and ultimately it came down to a choice that had to be made. And I enjoyed that depiction of the event. I would not be pleased to have to make that choice. But just considering the types of people that are pro-life, the Christians usually, an unborn child is innocent. I'm not sure about the Catholic doctrine. I know that they do teach original sin, but I don't know when the original sin does fall upon the child. But at least in evangelical Christianity, original sin's not in the equation, so it is it's the safer choice to terminate a pregnancy over allowing the mother to die, in order to give the mother as many opportunities as she needs to be redeemed in the eyes of God. So that is the somewhat viral abortion situation that's been playing out on Twitter, and I just wanted to come in and make those comments. I think that's all that I have to say about it at this point. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this situation, about the scenario. What do you think? If there is anyone that has information about Christian teaching when it comes to the worth or the value of the life of a mother versus an unborn child in the scenario where the mother's life is at risk, let me know. I'd love to hear your input on that. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Leave a like and subscribe if you did. Come back very soon. We'll be uploading another video on another somewhat viral event that's going on the internet here today. That'll be coming up very, very shortly. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful evening, good night, and God bless.